a champion is crowned in Japan League One Division 1, we have our semi-finalists in place for the URC. The Premiership in England and Super Rugby Pacific start their playoff. And this weekend sees the start of the Pacific Championships in Women's International Rugby. Hello and welcome to the Rugby Roundup, June 4th, 2025. It's me, Big Mike, here at Big Mike Sports. Now let's get to the Roundup. Just a quick note before we begin. I've got a little visit from Uncle Laryngitis once again, so apologies if my voice sounds a little bit funny this week. As I mentioned, so many club competitions have got their playoffs going. We've got the last week of games for the round robin in France and in the USA, and we crowned a new champion last weekend. But enough for that. Let's get to the roundup. We are going to start with club rugby as there was no internationals, men's or women's, to talk about from last weekend. Let's start with the URC semi-finals. First one, we had 4th versus 5th as Glasgow hosted the Stormers. With 30 minutes left, Glasgow were winning this one 19-18 before running away with it and winning 36-18. The Bulls then hosted Edinburgh, and despite being down 21-8, the Bulls turned this one around and won 42-33. Leinster, top of the table Leinster, kicked out the last Welsh hope, the Scarlets, 33-21. And in the controversial one, I don't know if you've seen this one, it was the Sharks versus Munster. This one was even at 80 minutes. After 100 minutes, it was 24 all, which meant that it went into a very rare penalty shootout. Same kicker, 6 kicks. Let's see what happens. Now, it is all over the internet. You have Ireland versus South Africa going on everywhere. And if you're anything like me, you know that these two countries have the most unbiased fans on the internet. Very similar to All Blacks fans. All right, so Sharks kicker Jordan Hendrickse got the kick, got a cramp and went down, and it was caught on camera, him winking at the opponent as he was in the kicking space. Ireland are claiming that, or not Ireland, but, Irish fans are claiming that he was faking the cramp, even though you can very clearly see the cramp, which is what our South African friends are saying. Oh, maybe he had a cramp and he was just a bit of a jerk too. Who knows? Anyway, what was the final score in penalties? It was Sharks 6, Munster 4. Sharks going through on penalties. And that is the sort of game we want in our quarterfinals. Now to the top 14. Second to last round of action. You had Clermont downing Stade Francais Paris 55-20, but they are still sitting in 7th. 3 points behind our rampaging La Rochelle, 38-15 over Perpignan, who are behind Castries, who beat the 4th place Bayonne 33-3. In other results, Montpellier defeated Racine 27-25 with a last-minute penalty. Defeated my beloved Van 52-26. Van looking highly likely to be the automatically delegated team. Delegated? Promotion? Relegated. I got it. I've been sick. I'm on antibiotics. My apologies. Relegated team. Pau have actually won 3 in a row, only sitting behind La Rochelle's 5 in a row in terms of momentum in the top 14. In other results, Toulouse down to Lyon 43-3. And Bordeaux, who were on that high after their Champions Cup final victory, went down 27-10 to Toulon. Bordeaux still sitting in second by a single point. The top six with one round left: Toulouse, Bordeaux, Toulon, Bayonne, Castres and La Rochelle. Now, Clermont in 7th can still catch Castres and La Rochelle. Pau in 8th can technically catch La Rochelle if they beat them by enough this weekend. Last round of the Premiership. The Sale Sharks, those Salé Sharks, confirmed their semi-final spot with a 30-26 victory over Exeter. The Northampton Saints ended their season on a low, going down 41-26 to Gloucester. Leicester beat the Newcastle Falcons, ending their sad season 42-20. Bath, top of the table Bath, who won the Challenge Cup the week before, went down to Saracens 36-26. And the Bristol Bears beat Harlequins 52-26, meaning that they finished 4th. Our top 4, Bath, Leicester, Salé and Bristol. Japan League 1 Division 1 final. Toshiba Brave Lupus with Richie Mo'unga with a broken hand defeated the Kubota Spears 18-13. In the third place playoff, we had a bit of an upset as the Kobe Steelers defeated the Panasonic Wild Knights 22-17. Promotion relegation games. The Kinetsu Liners lost to the Honda Heat 29-19, going down 58-42 all up. This was the last game for the Dream Team of Will Guinea and Quade Cooper. Honda Heat keeping their spot, and the D-Rocks, who went down by a point, defeated Shuttles HE 27-21 on aggregate, winning by 5, keeping their spot. The 12 from this year remain for the next. Super Rugby Pacific. Chiefs defeated the Highlanders 41-24, meaning they came first. In Canberra, it was Brumbies taking on the Crusaders for second spot. The ref missed a knock-on. The Crusaders scored a last-minute try after a great comeback by the Brumbies in the second half. The Crusaders won this one 33-31. Crusaders second, Brumbies third. Then the Blues demolished the Waratahs 46-6, meaning that Moana Pacifica had to get a bonus point victory over the Hurricanes to make the top 6. Unfortunately, they went down 64-12. A rough couple of last games for MP after that great victory over the Blues a couple of weeks ago. And in the last game, the Reds defeated the Drua 52-7. So our top 6 are the Chiefs, Crusaders, Brumbies, Hurricanes, Reds and Blues. Nearly predictable, not the order, but these have been our top 6 teams pretty much for the last few seasons. Major League Rugby results. The San Diego Legion went down to the Miami Sharks 36-32. They are currently sitting on the bottom of the West. The Utah Warriors defeated Anthem RC 31-10. Anthem RC have lost 15 games this season. RFC LA defeated Old Glory DC. This one was 43-32, and RFC LA have the momentum in the Major League Rugby after 4 games in a row. The Chicago Hounds bouncing around a bit, but they won 38-17 against Nola Gold, who are out of contention to make the Eastern Conference semis. And in the last game of the round, we had the New England Free Jacks taking on the Seattle Seawolves and winning 37-30. So, our Eastern Conference semi-finalists with 1 week left, we know will be New England, Chicago, Old Glory, DC and Miami. What order will they finish in? We will find out. Only Chicago and New England can finish on top. In the West, we have the Utah Warriors up top. The only team that can catch them are RFC LA. Behind them are Houston Sabercats looking safe in third. And then we have the Seawolves and the San Diego Legion within a point of each other. Last round of Super Rugby Americas. Selknam, away from home, got the 33-31 victory over Dogos to secure their spot in the semifinals. Pampas, top of the table Pampas. Now they are, after defeating Penarol 32-27, and Tarukas finished their debut season with a 44-24 victory over Yakare. Top four, Pampas, Penarol, Selknam and Dogos going into the semifinals this weekend. Tarukas, Yakare and Cobras are the final teams. Okay. Let's talk about me quickly. My name's Big Mike. This is Big Mike Sports. Take a look at Big Mike Sports NZ on Instagram, X, YouTube. You can catch up with all the stuff and you can let me know what's going on and what you want me to talk about. This week, comments are showing some love for All Blacks and Blues winger Caleb Clarke. All right, let's look forward to this week in rugby. There are no international men's games, but not this weekend, not next weekend, but the one after that. We have the British and Irish Lions starting off their games at home at Aviva, taking on the Pumas of Argentina. In the women's game, we have the Pacific Championships taking place in Singatoka in Fiji. Now, this will be between Fiji, Tonga and Samoa. Last year also included Papua New Guinea. Fiji and Samoa have qualified and will be taking part in Rugby World Cup 2025. In 2024, Fiji won this competition going undefeated. Looking at WXV 2024 results, both Fiji and Samoa were in WXV 3, where Samoa came second, only losing by a point to Spain, and Fiji ended up in fourth. Only Fiji has had a match this year, with the Fijiana girls going down 43-7 to Australia in May. The rankings for these teams going into this competition: the Samoa Manusina are 14th in the world, Fijiana are 16th, and Tonga are 27th. This one is all done in 8 days. On Friday, local time, Fiji take on Tonga. On Tuesday, Samoa take on Tonga. And next Saturday, Fiji take on Samoa. It is very likely that that will be the game for the crown. To club rugby now, we have the URC semi-finals. First one, we have top of the table, Leinster 1v4, taking on last year's champions, the Glasgow Warriors. Glasgow did win it from fourth last year, going to the Bulls, who finished in second and winning the final in South Africa 21-16. So let's look at the games between Leinster and Glasgow so far. Now, in April, in the Champions Cup quarterfinal, Leinster won 52-0. Just 2 weeks ago, in the final round of URC play, it was Leinster winning 13-5. Leinster going into this one as big favourites, but Glasgow are our defending champions. This could potentially be the last chance for some of these players to show that they should be in that starting Lions lineup. Leinster do have 12 Lions players. The other semi-final, second versus third, Bulls versus Sharks. In December, the Sharks won this one 20-17. In February, the Sharks won this one 29-19. Reminder that in last year's Currie Cup semi-final, which have our feeder teams or our teams, not necessarily with our Springboks, it was the Sharks versus the Blue Bulls, finished 40-all, and the Sharks went through to the final, advancing with more tries. Both of these teams have won 5 games in a row going into this one. Last year's semi-finals, the Bulls beat Leinster and Glasgow beat Munster. Now the top 14 final round 26 before we get to our finals. Top of the table is Toulouse. They will stay there, and they are away from home against Perpignan. Bordeaux and Toulon are within a point. Bordeaux are at home against bottom of the table Vannes, who need a good win just to avoid potentially automatic relegation. Toulon away from home against the 4th place Bayonne, who will hope for a win so they stay in 4th place. Castries look pretty comfortable, but they don't want to lose. They will be taking on Stade Francais Paris. If Castries win that, they will finish 5th. Then we have 6th versus 8th as La Rochelle and Pau have a battle. If Pau win this by enough points, which looks like a lot of points, or somewhere in the 20s or 30s, they will jump La Rochelle and will be hoping that Clermont lose to Montpellier in the other game this weekend. Lots to play for, but also lots not to play for. It's all about the bottom couple of spots in the qualifiers. Now, in the Premiership, we are at our semi-finals. First one is first taking on 4th, Bath versus Bristol. These two teams have played each other 4 times this season. In the Premiership in October, Bristol won 36-26. In the Premiership Rugby Cup, Bath won 78-19, and then Bristol won 40-21. Then in the Premiership a few weeks ago, Bristol won 36-14. Was that a spite? Finishing 4th, Bristol have actually won 3 out of 4 games this year. Bath will be riding high. They've rested a lot of players last week, and they'll be looking for another crown, having already won 2 so far this season. Our other semi-final, Leicester versus Salé. In December, the Sharks beat the Tigers 39-25, and just a few weeks ago, Leicester defeated Salé 44-34. Japan League 1 Division 1 is done. Now to our qualifiers in Super Rugby Pacific. This one's strange. There will be 3 games, 1v6, 2v5, 3v4. The 3 winners plus the highest ranked loser will go through to the semi-finals, meaning the Chiefs can lose and know they will be fine. It's an odd format, but let's see how it goes. First game of the weekend, 2nd versus 5th. Crusaders taking on the Reds. In March, the Crusaders won this one 43-19, and the Reds have lost to a New Zealand team in New Zealand in the quarterfinals or qualifying finals in 2022, 23, and 24. Can they finally break the trend? Then we've got the Chiefs versus the Blues. This one's in Hamilton, 1st versus 6th. In February, in the opener, the Blues went down to the Chiefs 25-14. In March, the Chiefs won 32-31. This is a rematch of last year's final. Now, if both of these games go to plan and the Crusaders and Chiefs win, then the Brumbies versus Hurricanes doesn't mean too much because they will both make it through to the semi-finals anyway. But we will have 3rd versus 4th, Brumbies taking on the Hurricanes in Canberra. In April, the Brumbies lost to the Hurricanes 29-35. Now, in 2022 and 2023, the Brumbies beat the Hurricanes in Canberra at this stage of the competition. Can the Hurricanes shake their Brumbies playoff hoodoo? Last round of Major League Rugby. Now, the New England Free Jacks will finish on top with a good victory over Nola Gold. Just behind them, we have the Chicago Hounds, who are playing tomorrow against the Houston Sabercats in their final game. The Utah Warriors take on RFC LA in what is actually the battle for the top spot of the West. As long as Utah don't get enough bonus points, a win for RFC LA, which will be a 5th win in a row, it will take them from the bottom of the West to the top for the seedings going into the semi-finals. San Diego Legion need to win against Old Glory DC, which would then put pressure on the Seattle Seawolves, who will be hosting the Miami Sharks. And in our other game, the Houston Sabercats are taking on Anthem RC. Can they make it 1-15 for the season? Super Rugby Americas semi-finals. In the first one, we have 1st versus 4th. It is Pampas from Argentina versus Dogos from Argentina. In round 2, this one was a 20-all draw. In round 8, the Dogos got over Pampas, 22 points to 8. The other semifinals sees second versus third, Uruguay's Penarol versus Chile's Selknam. In round 4, Penarol won this one, 22-18. In round 9, they took it 22-17. Can Selknam finally get the victory over Penarol in 2025 and make it to the final? And that is it. Those are the games coming up this week in rugby. Lots of finals, lots of excitement. But before we finish off today, let's talk about our Big Mike Big 3 games. If you've only got time to watch one, follow one, see one, whatever. How about you make sure it's one of these 3? We'll start with our honourable mentions. In the URC, we've got their semi-final between Leinster and Glasgow. In Major League Rugby, we've got another Warriors after the Glasgow Warriors, the Utah Warriors taking on RFC LA, final round. This one's for the Western #1 spot. And Super Rugby Americas is Dogos versus Pampas. Pampas finished first but have not defeated Dogos this year. Now, our big 3. We are looking at our Premiership semi-final between Leicester and Saleh. The Tigers and the Sharks, they have gone 1-1 so far this season. This is second versus third. Then in Super Rugby Pacific, we have the qualifying final between the Brumbies and the Hurricanes. Lots in play for this one. Now, if the Crusaders lose, for example, the Brumbies could go up a spot and have a home game next weekend. If the Hurricanes lose and either the Blues or the Reds get a victory, the Hurricanes are out. Or so would the Brumbies be. And in our final big game this weekend, let's go that URC semi-final, Bulls versus Sharks, second versus third. Now, speaking of South African teams in the URC, the Stormers won this competition in 2022. No other South African team has won since the new competition started. The last big titles for these teams at this level. Last year, in 2024, the Sharks won the Challenge Cup. And the Bulls, despite getting some Curry Cups, their last big win came in Super Rugby in 2009. Both of these teams will be hoping to take home the URC crown after South Africa had such a poor showing in the Champions Cup. All right. That's enough for me. I'm going to jump on my inhaler. I'm going to have my antibiotics. I'm going to wrap myself up and I'm going to watch game after game of the most beautiful sport, rugby. I hope you all have a beautiful week and you watch some beautiful rugby.